There's an activity this week where you're going to be looking at this shells and cheese label and answering some questions. I did post a key to that, but I wanted to provide you with a video on how to approach this and how to look at a food label and determine what needs to be enzymatically digested and what is absorbed. So looking at the label here, you can see that there is fat present. So we know there's going to be triglycerides present, which need to be enzymatically digested. So we can go ahead and just write that right away. I will show you what ingredients those triglycerides are coming from. But if there's fat listed on the label, you know there's going to be triglycerides that need to be enzymatically digested. You don't have to specify the type of fatty acids that the triglycerides contain, just simply triglycerides. Protein, this is hidden a little bit here, but there are 10 grams of protein. So protein's pretty easy as well. If there's protein listed on the nutrition facts, we know protein is quite a complex molecule and it will need to be enzymatically digested. Carbohydrates are a little more complicated. We can see here, because there's so many different types of carbohydrates, we can see here the total carbohydrates is 47 grams. We have fiber, which is not enzymatically digested, and we have sugars. Since the sugars and fibers don't equal the total carbohydrate, we know we're going to have some starch, which needs to be enzymatically digested. So we just really need to figure out what these sugars are. For that, we'll go to the label, and we see pasta, which that's where the majority of the starch is going to be coming from. There shouldn't be any sugar in pasta. Cheddar cheese and milk. We know dairy is a source of lactose, so we will have that needs to be digested. And then we see sugar in the label here, which we know is sucrose. So without even really getting into the details of these ingredients, we can gather a lot of information just from looking at the numbers here. I think it is interesting, though, to kind of see where these nutrients come from. We know that any whole food, like the whole wheat here, is going to be a source of all three macronutrients. So although this is providing a lot of starch, it does have some protein and triglycerides as well. Same with the cheese. We have the lactose, but it also will provide triglycerides and protein. Butter is a concentrated fat, so that's where a lot of the triglycerides are coming from. There won't be any carbohydrate or protein. Milk is a whole food, so it will contain the lactose, protein, and triglycerides. Sugar is refined, so it's really just a concentrated source of sucrose. What is absorbed? Well, we know starch is broken down into glucose. Sucrose is broken down into glucose and fructose. The lactose will be glucose and galactose. And the triglycerides will be broken down into monoglycerides, fatty acids, and glycerol. Once they're absorbed into the cells of the small intestine, they'll then be packaged into chylomicrons, the monoglycerides and long-chain fatty acids. And then we also will have amino acids, dipeptides, and tripeptides from the breakdown of proteins. Once the dipeptides and tripeptides enter the cells of the small intestine, they'll be further broken down into amino acids where they will travel to the blood. One other lipid that's present in the dairy fat is going to be cholesterol. It doesn't need to be enzymatically digested, but it is absorbed and it will be packaged into those chylomicrons.